What's happening, everyone? My name is Hayden. I've been selling on Amazon for over 4 years now. I've been making myself a full-time income in that time and a lot more of excess money in the bank as well, just to get the credibility out of the way there, guys. Got my sparkling water. We're going to get into this video here, which is talking about the 4 things that I wish I knew in Amazon, Amazon FBA, Amazon selling, e-commerce before I got started. Stay tuned. Okay, number 1 is making sure you understand the model that you're getting into before you actually get into it. So when I started out on Amazon, I actually had no idea that there was multiple selling models within the Amazon space. I assumed there was only one model, which was private label. Now, a lot of you watching this right now might also believe there is only one model, which is private label. You would be wrong. Some of you might be thinking there's only one model, which is online arbitrage. You would be wrong. And then within them models, there's also other models, okay? So basically, I'm going to explain. You've got arbitrage, and then you've got private label. But there's kind of a few others in between, and that's what I want to explain in this video. So there's a few different models, okay? So let me start from the off. You've got retail arbitrage, where you're going around shops and everything like that, and you're reselling products on Amazon. You've got online arbitrage, where you or your VAs, teams of VAs, are searching stores, looking for lower products to sell on Amazon that are more expensive to buy on Amazon. You're shipping them in. And then you've got things like private label as well. And private label is where you're building brands or creating products, and you're usually, not always, usually importing them from overseas, or you're making them from manufacturers in the UK. Then you've got white label, where you're just getting someone else's product and slapping a label on it and then, calling it yours. And then you've got things like wholesale. Now, wholesale is something where pretty much like arbitrage, apart from you're opening accounts either with brands exclusively or distributors, wholesalers, and you're sending products into Amazon as well, current listings that are already there, or creating your own listings, sometimes with the rights from the brands, sometimes with not. And then also on top of that, you've got things like bundles and unique bundles, where you're bundling together multiple arbitrage products or different types of products, more your own sort of branded products, and selling them on Amazon. So many different ways, okay? Now, the most important thing here to understand is that all of these different ways of selling, what most people don't talk about, require a different kind of skill set and a different kind of personality. Let me explain what I mean. When I was doing online arbitrage, although I was doing okay from it, and I did it for 1.5 years when I started, and actually I still do it now, but in a different marketplace, different story, it's not my main focus now, and that's because it wasn't my key skill. My skill lays in creativity and brand building. That's just what I'm good at. It's what I like to do, and I enjoy doing it. With the arbitrage side of things, I got a little bit fed up with the small margins, having to do volume, having to invest loads, having to sell loads and have loads of prep fees in order to make what I class as a little amount of profit. I prefer to pour into my skill set, in my case, which is creativity, create products that have got high value to customers, which I can charge a good amount of money for, have higher profit, less prep fees, less sales, in order to make good money. That was my way of doing it, okay? Now, you've got to decide, you've got to look into all the models themselves and figure out, I wish I knew this before I started, figure out, before you start wasting 6 months, a year, 2 years, figure out what model is right for you. Now, don't listen to someone that's just trying to sell you into their wholesale course, arbitrage course, or private label course, because obviously they're going to be biased to you, to that opinion. You've got to figure out what's right for you. Do you want to do some sort of large operation where with wholesale or arbitrage, where you're not making that much money but you can really scale it up, and at volume the models do work like that? Is that your skill set, the systems and the operations, or is it not? And hiring staff, managing loads of staff? Or are you more creative? Could you see yourself more creating brands, doing unique bundles, doing private label projects, not having to sell as much necessarily, although you could, and actually making more bottom line profit? But initially you've got to understand that it's more tricky, because you've got to believe that product's going to sell. Whereas with arbitrage and stuff like that, they're not guaranteed to sell, but a lot of the stuff's going to sell. Just sometimes it gets price tagged. So it's a very different kind of mindset, guys. Now, a lot of people on both of these spectrums, sometimes they mix them up, but I wouldn't recommend that. I recommend pretty much going into whatever marketplace you're into, you want to have a chosen strategy for that, so you can full focus on it. Now, that's the first thing that I wish I knew before I got started. The second thing I wish I knew before I got started selling on Amazon is that it's going to take a lot longer than what you think. Now, a lot of people won't be happy for me to say that, but it's the truth. It's going to take you longer than what you think. And here's the reason why. You're waiting for the compounding to catch up in all of these areas. Finances, skill set, people that you know, and just your general knowledge in the space. All of them things, along with self-belief, that's number 5 actually, along with self-belief, okay, you've got to wait for the compounding to catch up in every one of them. Now, let me explain what I mean. When I started out, I had no money, well, pretty much no money, okay, so I had no traction there with money. I didn't come into the business with 50, 100 grand, okay. I knew no one in the space, okay, so I couldn't get guidance from them. I had no motivation or inspiration or knowledge to know that the business does work, so I had no passion to drive forwards or self-belief that it was going to work. And I had no skill set in the business. I had no skill set to lean upon to understand how to do things properly, so there was no momentum there. And my knowledge was very limited. So all of them buckets, let's call them buckets, your knowledge bucket, your skill set bucket, your finances bucket, and everything like that, your motivation bucket, your self-belief bucket, your finances bucket. Guys, if they're all empty, all you can do is start filling them up one by one. And this is what people don't talk about. You have to fill up all of your buckets. So if you look at where I'm at now, I've got money, contacts, skill set, knowledge, and a hell of a lot of self-belief in this model now. Now, a lot of people still say this model doesn't work. Well, that's because their bucket is empty, because they haven't had the knowledge to understand the skill set in order to make the finances and to know the people. And then anyone that says Amazon doesn't work would not believe that if they had these 5 buckets full. But because they're empty, it's much easier for them to just say this model doesn't work, this business doesn't work, because maybe they've spent their time building buckets up in other businesses. So anyone that says it doesn't work, that's why, okay? So that's one sort of massive tick there, what you sort of wish you didn't know. But I just wish, I just wish that, you know, I knew how much longer it was going to take. You can't expect any tree to grow, guys. If you want to build a business in any space, forget Amazon, any space that you want to go into, whether it's property, whether it's like rent-to-rent stuff that people do, or whether it's an Airbnb business, you're going to be taking a lot of time, okay, filling up your buckets, what I just spoke about. Now, some people just think, oh, it's just a case of launching some products and then launching some more products and launching some more products. It's just not, guys. You're filling multiple buckets. And the longer you stick to this business, the more buckets you've got full and the more chances of huge success you've got. Not only in this model, but to leverage the skill sets and the knowledge and the finances that you earn from this into any other model. So I wish I knew that. I wish I knew how much longer it was going to take. You've got to buckle yourself in for a long ride. Don't let things put you off. Don't let silly little things or silly little Facebook groups where people are moaning about stuff put you off. If you want to get in this for the long run, you've got to get in it for the long run. If you're not willing to go in this for the long run and treat it like a real company, treat it like a real business, a real passion of yours, excuse me, guys, jump into something else. Because I can guarantee you anything that you choose, Forex trading, Airbnb, rent, whatever it is, I don't know, car wash starting, you're going to have to start filling these buckets. So the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to succeed. But don't expect things fast. That's something else I wish I knew before I started. The third thing I wish I knew before I got started was the models where people have the most success. Now, I don't know about you guys watching this, but I know for me, I want to be a hugely successful entrepreneur. I never started this just to make a little side income, a little side gig where I could just make a few extra quid a month. I always wanted to do something that was huge, that had huge potential. And I spent far too long playing too small when I started because no one explained to me how to actually get it going good and what had the most successful models within it. And I know now that the most successful people in this space are either doing a high-level wholesale brand deal, brand exclusivity, brand distribution thing, and they're doing volume with small margins, or most people globally have their own private label brands, big brands, and they don't just sell them on Amazon, but they distribute them globally. And in order for you to have the chance of huge success, you need to know this. Because otherwise, what you could do is find yourself messing around with retail arbitrage or online arbitrage for far too long, making okay money or good money. But if your goals are bigger than that, then you should have been sooner rather than later slotting yourself into the models that work for you, that can work for you and your goals long term. You kind of got to think bigger. So as soon as I realized that I wanted to take this to a big level, I started pivoting my business to something that could facilitate that. So I thought that I might want to get into brand deals, and I got myself a mentor and everything like that was multi 9 figures, really, really successful. Went and spent the day with him in that warehouse and everything like that. And then I realised after looking at his operation and his day-to-day and the margins that he was doing, personally I wasn't interested in that. I didn't have enough passion to do that. And passion's not everything, but if you want to stick with something, for 10, 15 years and go in it, I think you need some sort of desire to do it. And for me, flogging other people's products was not that. It was not for me. And that's not slagging anyone off that does that. It just wasn't for me. Not to mention the systems and operations and all that. I didn't want that operation. It didn't seem worth it to me to have that operation for them margins and that sort of business model. But what I also realised is that actually I do still want something big in the space, but I want it to be my own brand. I want it to be my own products that I can sell on Amazon, sell on my website, sell on socials, sell in stores and everything like that, and build a brand that I'm proud of. Build a brand or a company of brands that has got that long-term potential. So the sooner you know that, the better. You've got to slot yourself into a model that has that potential. So if you want to do the brand exclusivity and the wholesale stuff on a high level, then the sooner you learn the skills to work your way up to that, the better. Okay, you're not going to get very far just doing retail arbitrage if that's what your goals are, because it's capped. It's capped, things like retail arbitrage. And then with the private label, like I realised, if you want to get yourself into owning big brands that one day you can exit from, like I do, then the sooner you start acting on that and learning about that, the better. So you'll notice my track went from online arbitrage, which by the way I still do purely from a money point of view, but it's not a passion thing. I do brand building now more something. I do unique bundles, and I'm just launching my first private label brand, which is literally, we should be launching the first products next week. And I'm already working on another private label project. And as you can see, my trajectory right now is heading much more towards a brand, a stable brand that I can exit from one day. And the skills that I'm learning now, filling the buckets that I spoke about earlier, filling more of them buckets to get myself to that big level where I can exit up here with a big brand. Now, I'm well aware it's going to be a long journey for that. I'm not expecting it to be overnight, but I've started working on that. I've started working on them buckets and I'm going towards that. So you've got to figure out what you want, how big you want to go, and make sure that you're heading towards that. Make sure you're heading towards that. And I can just tell you the biggest people in this space are doing one of these two. They're doing their own brands or they're doing distribution for other brands. That's just it. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but just know that you don't want to do that. So you don't get misled by other people that are trying to do that. If you want to just do online arbitrage on a medium level, fine, do that. But I would just recommend the sooner you learn about the skill set with the goals that you want to go, the better. The fourth thing I wish I knew before starting on Amazon was how important getting a mentor was. How important it is to be trained by the right people. Now, I don't offer any training. I don't offer any mentoring myself. But I have been mentored by someone. Her name's Natalie for a long time now. She's got the Hive, which is a group as well. I'll leave a link for that below if you want a little discount for that, guys. But as I say, I don't offer any training myself or any coaching myself. But I wish I knew when I started how important it was to have the right mentor and to have the right coaches around you. Because, as I say, the Hive, which I'm in, which I just spoke about, which is a link below for guys, and Natalie, who's been coaching me one-to-one for many years now, if I had her from the start, I would be 3 times, 4 times ahead of where I am now. For around about a year and a half, I had no mentor really. I mean, I did join a coaching program when I first came in, but it was just kind of to get me up and going with arbitrage. I never really had proper mentors, that were on the same wavelengths as me, that really understood where I wanted to go and could facilitate that for me. As soon as I found Natalie, my growth, my knowledge, my passion, and my self-belief just escalated to a big level. And that's the truth, guys. That's just what happened. That's because I got the right mentor, I got the right coach that understood my vision and that had the right model of doing it, which for me was bundles. And she taught me how to do that in the group. You've got to make sure you're surrounded by the people that have the same goals as you or have done what you want to do, and make sure that you're not going towards something that isn't for you. So my mentor just before Natalie, I did have one, but great guy. But at the time, he wasn't doing what I wanted to do. He was doing a different model. So I was not happy because I was unconsciously going down the wrong path, like what I spoke about earlier. So the sooner you find a good mentor or a good little coaching group, or it doesn't even have to be a paid thing, like a group of people around you that understand where you want to go and that are on the same level and can inspire you and can help you get there, the sooner you're going to win. You can't do this alone. You need people to help you guide you, because even if your knowledge is on the same level, you swing ideas around with each other and you inspire each other to keep on. But some people just know one little thing that can completely change your income, your life, and your businesses. I've been told opportunities like bundles, prime example, before I knew that. I didn't even know they existed. As soon as I found out about that, completely escalated, and I became extremely successful because of it, like in this space. Just because of that one thing. And I probably, if I didn't find bundles, I'm 99% sure I wouldn't be here right now. I would have left the space. And all of this potential I had, I would never have known, guys. And that's because I had the right mentor and the right coach. Okay. So yeah, that's the fourth thing, guys. Just make sure you've got the right coach, the right mentor, or the right sort of accountability group around you, because it's really important. As I say, get 50% off the Hive below, guys, with that link if you want to test it out. But if not, you don't have to pay for a group if you don't want to do that. Just make sure you're surrounded by the right people. It just happens to be a convenient way to do it, is to have a group that's already set up. So anyway, guys, make sure you like the video. I hope you like that. I hope it had some good value in it, and I'll see you in the next video.